What is a woman? What is a woman? In a recent documentary, Matt Walsh, an American conservative political commentator for the Daily Wire and author of the popular children's book Johnny the Walrus, which I highly recommend, traveled around the world asking one question: what is a woman? In some parts of the world, like Africa with the Maasai tribe, they laughed at Matt Walsh for asking such a self-evident question. But in other parts of the world, like in San Francisco with radical feminists, they were outraged at Matt Walsh for asking such a contentious question. And in this part of the world, here at this Mass, because last week I told you what a woman is not, she is not capable of being an ordained priest, I thought I'd tell you this week what she is. And I will answer the question, what is a woman? But before I give you a Catholic answer, it's good for us to realize that our culture has already given us two answers to this question. Our culture has already presented us with two extreme answers to the question, what is a woman? And to help us understand these answers, I have some props, as I always do. So I have a pedestal. This is a pedestal. And I've got a doormat here. The first answer our culture has given us to the question, what is a woman, is symbolized by this pedestal. What is a woman? A woman is an object of pleasure. That's what our culture says. This answer, inspired by men like Hugh Hefner, the founder of Playboy magazine, is the result of truly a diabolical twisting of the female body as just an object of pleasure, something to put on a pedestal, something to idolize for your own pleasure. And yes, our culture has been dramatically impacted over the last 60 years by what is called the sexual revolution. Turn on the TV, look at billboards, read Cosmopolitan, pick up a romance novel, watch Netflix, or worse. Just think for a second about the entire industry of pornography and sex trafficking. What's it all about? The idolization of the female body as an object of pleasure. And because so many men are used to putting women on pedestals and viewing them as objects of pleasure, women, on their part, who have deep desires to be wanted and desired by men and real needs to be affirmed in their own bodies, feel like they have to get on the pedestal and live up to the impossible standard of being an idol. As a result, women often sacrifice their own dignity and self-worth by giving in to men's disordered passions with things like plastic surgery or sex outside of marriage, just to name two among many that you could add to. And by doing so, women buy into the lie that the answer to the question, what is a woman, is that a woman is just an object of pleasure. So that's the first answer our culture has been continually giving us over the last 60 years, and how tragic that answer is. Now, the second extreme response to this question is fundamentally a reaction and a rebellion, a good one, against all of the abuses that women have suffered physically, emotionally, spiritually from trying to get on the pedestal and live up to this impossible standard of being an object of pleasure. And so, to explain the second answer our culture has given us, which is equally or even more so tragic than the first, is symbolized by this doormat. Because everything in life that we idolize, we eventually despise. Many women have taken their body parts off that pedestal to be idolized, and instead have sadly treated their body parts like doormats, something to despise, something to be stomped on, to leave behind, or treat as worthless. It's true, everything in life that we idolize, we eventually despise. So our culture's latest response to all of the abuses that women have suffered over the last 60 years in particular is to despise what is unique about the woman's body. Fueled by pioneers like Margaret Sanger, founder of Planned Parenthood, who falsely scapegoated the female body as the issue for women's liberation, especially, as Margaret Sanger would say, in a woman's ability to get pregnant. She saw that as the fundamental issue at hand for women's liberation. Our culture has adopted a radical liberal feminist agenda that puts forward the female body as the issue. And thus the female body becomes, for many people, a doormat, something to despise, to stomp on, to leave behind, to treat as worthless. For example, go to a march for women's rights. Read the signs that you see. Signs like, my body, my choice, get your rosaries off my ovaries, and so on. All of these signs, or at least the person holding the sign, if you look deep down inside that person's heart, is a little girl who's been hurt by a sexualized culture that objectifies the woman's body, turning her body into an idol of lust, to say that a woman's body is just an object of pleasure, and so she wants to rebel against that. And she's right to rebel against that. She's right to seek freedom from being treated as an object of pleasure. Amen. But unfortunately, the culture is providing an answer to that problem, which is equally destructive to the female. What are they doing? You're just saying go in the opposite extreme. Get rid of everything unique and beautiful and wonderful about the female body. Just treat it as something like a doormat, something just to get rid of it, stomp it on, leave it behind. And so, as Margaret Sanger's agenda was, tragically, many of the ways that this is exercised are things like contraception, or even worse, something like abortion, in which you're just getting rid of the absolute mystery and wonder of the female's body and her ability to bring forth new life. And so, if we ask people today, what is a woman? As the documentary that Matt Walsh put forward, many people say a woman is someone who identifies as a woman. A woman is someone who identifies as a woman. It's circular reasoning, but if you dive deeper, you realize that it's treating the uniqueness and the beauty and the dignity of the woman as just an object to despise, just nothing unique about it. Just get rid of everything unique about a woman. Anyone could identify with a woman. That's what our culture has presented us with the answer to that first tragic presentation of the woman. So both these extremes, idolizing the female's body as an object of pleasure, or despising the female's body and saying a woman is just someone who identifies as a woman, that's it, it results in the same thing. It results in the exact same thing. It says that the female body is something bad. It says that the female's body is something bad, and the solution, you just got to separate your body from yourself. Separate your body from your heart. Separate your body from your soul. That's what the culture keeps saying to women. And how tragic, separating the body from the soul. That's the definition of death. Separating the body from the soul. And that's exactly what our culture is trying to do. Separate the body from the soul of every woman. And it is slowly killing the hearts, the souls, and everything that is good, true, and beautiful about women, our culture is attacking. But I'm not here just to be a cultural analyst about how messed up our culture is. I'm here to present good news. And there's really, really good news for women from the gospel. So there is a third answer. There is a Catholic answer to the question, what is a woman? And to explain this answer, I want everyone to look at the tabernacle underneath the crucifix. We know that that tabernacle is made for a great purpose. It's made to be a dwelling place of someone. That's the entire reason that tabernacle exists. Now I ask you, would it be right to put that tabernacle on a pedestal and worship it because it's so beautiful? No, that's idolatry. Would it be right to throw that tabernacle into the garbage and stomp on it like a doormat? No, that'd be sacrilege. What do we do to that tabernacle? I'll give you a big fancy word maybe you've never heard of before. We call sacramentalize it. You've heard the word sacrament, but to sacramentalize something means that everything you see physically about that tabernacle points to something greater. Everything you see physically about that tabernacle points to something greater. So all the beauty of its design, structure, and shape, from the gold doors to the veil covering over it, it's meant to remind us, to tell us that there is something beautiful and mysterious and wonderful inside. That's the purpose of a tabernacle. Well, that tabernacle is actually a beautiful image of how we are supposed to look and treat the female body. Just as that tabernacle is made for a great purpose, and everything about it points to that greater purpose, the exact same thing is with the woman's body. A woman's body is made for one great purpose: motherhood. That's the one great purpose of the female body. Everything unique and beautiful and wonderful about the female body, from the birth canal to the womb to the hips and breasts, everything speaks of one purpose: motherhood. But rather than put the woman's body on a pedestal to idolize or throw it on the ground to be a doormat, we're called to sacramentalize a woman's body. What does that mean? Everything you see physically about a woman's body is meant to remind you of something greater: motherhood. It's meant to point to that, be constant reminders of the beauty, dignity, and worth of motherhood. So, my Catholic answer: what is a woman? A woman is the kind of person created to be a mother. Now, before you think I'm just saying women are called to get pregnant all the time, let me clarify. True womanhood, true motherhood, is not just a biological thing. It's also a deeply spiritual thing. Not all women are called to be biological mothers. It's true. But every single woman who's ever existed is called to be a spiritual mother. In fact, spiritual motherhood completes and perfects all biological motherhood. That's why a woman is still the kind of person created to be a mother, even if she's too young to get pregnant, even if she's too old to get pregnant, even if her ability on a biological level is damaged or non-functional to birth a child. Every single woman who's ever existed is called to be a mother. So what does this look like? Well, remember, we're called to sacramentalize a woman's body. So, when we look at a woman's body, we see one physical sign. I'll give you one example. A woman's body has been gifted by God with a physical space for another person to exist. A woman's body has been gifted by God with a physical space for another person to exist and to be nurtured and to be brought forth to life. Well, that's a sign of something even greater, is that every woman has a spiritual capacity at the same time to nurture, care for, and receive other people into her life. A woman has a special receptivity, a special sensitivity to receive another person into her own life and to nurture the emotional, moral, cultural, and spiritual needs of another person. And I could go on and on about this, but I'll leave it to another time. To conclude, I just want to give a challenge for men and an invitation for women. Men, question. How do you view the female body? Do you view it as an idol? Are you putting it on a pedestal right now? Or do you treat it like a doormat? You don't even show any sign of respect or dignity to the female body. Well, it's time to start viewing and treating the women's body like a tabernacle. Let me drive this home point even further. Anyone who is not married right now, any man who is not married right now, listen to me closely. When I gave my life for the Eucharist and I was ordained a priest, I was finally given a key. That key gave me permission to lift the veil of the tabernacle, open its doors, and place the Eucharist, which is the spiritual seed of divine life, inside the tabernacle. Men, do you get a hint of what I'm trying to say to you? Only when you've given your entire life to a woman and you get married, only then are you given the key. Only then are you allowed to lift the veil of the mystery of the woman's body. Only then are you allowed to open the doors and place the seed for new life. Until then, stay away. Keep the veil on. And for all men, if you're used to putting the female body on a pedestal to idolize, like I did for so many years, and I still need conversion daily from all the effects of the culture on my mind and heart, we need to repent. I have a friend who said the first time he saw his wife breastfeed, he realized the absolute horror that pornography had done to his mind of viewing the female breast. The absolute horror of how corrupted his mindset was about a God-given gift that he has given women. And so he repented, and so do we. And to all women, how do you view your female body? Are you trying to get on the pedestal right now? Or do you view it like a doormat? Well, the invitation is to also view and treat your body like a tabernacle. Your female body is a great thing. It's a gift from God. Do you know where we get the word woman from in Genesis? Adam saw Eve. He saw the absolute beauty of her body, and he said, "Whoa, man." That's what men are supposed to do towards women. And women, you're supposed to realize that just as a tabernacle is the crown jewel of every church, you are the crown jewel of creation. God saved the best for last. And so you have a right to realize that your body has a dignity and a beauty that you need to respect and to honor. And so don't put yourself on the pedestal. Don't treat yourself like a doormat. Realize that your body is a beautiful gift from God, like a tabernacle. To conclude, I just want to share a story about my niece, Olivia. She's 6 years old, and I think she's the most beautiful girl in the entire world. Not only on the outside, she's very beautiful, but even inside, she's even more. And sometimes because she's so beautiful on the outside, it's easy to forget how beautiful she is on the inside. One day, she lost her first tooth. No joke, she went up to me and said, "Uncle Richard, I'm no longer beautiful." Thankfully, her mom intervened. She gave Olivia a sacramental view of her body. She told Olivia to put her hands on her heart and say, "I am most beautiful right here." I'd like to invite all women to do that right now. Put your hands on your heart and say, "I'm most beautiful right here." May the Blessed Virgin Mary, known as the mother of all peoples, the perfect mother, the perfect model of all motherhood, both biological and spiritual, who truly became the first living tabernacle in her own womb where God lived for 9 months, intercede for all of us. May she bring conversion to men and healing to women.